Let's talk about alcohol, but not the kind you might be thinking of. Although, I'm talking about fatty alcohol, the kind you see in skin and hair care a lot of the times. Have you ever looked at a product label and seen alcohol and thought to yourself, wait a second, won't this like dry my hair out? No, I was just like you at one point, but let me break down why fatty alcohol and liquid alcohol are actually two completely different things and how fatty alcohol can be good for your skin and hair. So what are fatty alcohols? So unlike the alcohols that we're used to, the liquid ones, these are actually solid and they're a bit like wax. There's many different types of fatty alcohols, but the most common are cetyl and cetearyl and also stearyl alcohol. They vary by the amount of carbon in them, which kind of changes how they feel in the end product. So you'll see these different types of alcohols in different types of products. So cetyl alcohol, for instance, is more of a lightweight alcohol, so it shows up a lot in lotions and things that you leave on the skin, while cetearyl and stearyl alcohol are a bit denser and they kind of make a heavier cream consistency, so you find them more in conditioners and or leave-ins even, and they're really nice for the hair. Alcohols are most commonly derived from coconut and palm trees and even soybeans, more specifically the oil derived from these plants. So they're produced by actually turning a fatty acid into an alcohol via a process called hydrogenation, and all that really means is that you're taking that fatty acid and removing an oxygen from it, and that converts it into a fatty alcohol. And what's really interesting about this is fatty acids are actually liquid while fatty alcohols are solid, like I've been saying. So you're actually converting a liquid oil into a solid alcohol, which gives it super unique properties. It basically gives it the properties of an oil in a solid form, which allows it to more slowly absorb, which makes the skin to hair contact longer so that it can actually work its magic a little bit more. So that's why I really like using fatty alcohols in my formulas, is because they add a little something extra that an oil might not. And so a little bit more about them. Cetyl alcohol comes from palmitic acid, which is usually derived from palm or coconut oil, but more recently it's been found in abundance in soybeans, so that's like another more sustainable option for producing palmitic acid. So you're taking palmitic acid and reducing it into cetyl alcohol, and stearyl alcohol actually comes from stearic acid, which is pretty similar to palmitic acid, except for palmitic once again only has 16 carbons, which leaves cetyl alcohol with only 16 carbons again, because once again we're only losing an oxygen in this process, while stearyl alcohol has 18 carbons, like I mentioned earlier, which means that stearic acid also has 18 carbons. And when you're making cetearyl alcohol, all you're doing is combining those two to get the properties of both. So like I said earlier, the cetyl alcohol is a bit more lightweight in formulas, while stearyl alcohol is a bit heavier. So when you combine the two, it makes this beautiful like middle ground consistency. And yeah, so that's where cetearyl alcohol comes into play. And all of these are made using a metal catalyst, which is actually the only area where there could be contamination, and that would be like with metal contamination. This can be tested for, and most of those bigger brands you see on shelves in like drugstores and other like beauty stores, they are all tested. They all have tests to make sure that they're all safe and that there's no metal contamination. So make sure you find a supplier that you trust, and you should be good to go. But don't worry, they're completely safe to use. And anyway, the amount that you actually use in the formula is very, very little, because you don't need much of these to make a huge impact on your formula. You might be thinking, okay, that's cool and all, but what do they actually do? Fatty alcohols are emollients. They work by creating a protective layer over the skin that locks in moisture. They soften the skin and smooth the hair. They also give your formula a nice slip, so if that's something you like, maybe try adding these to your recipe. So in summary, these ingredients are fatty alcohols, not the liquid ones that we find super drying. They come from palm, coconut, and soybeans, and are emollients working to soften the hair and skin. They're completely safe to use, and you don't really need much of them in your formula to completely transform it. If you're intrigued and maybe want to try them out, stay tuned because I think I'm going to release some recipes. And if you enjoyed this video, check out my blog where I have way more information about natural skincare and herbalism in general. And if you like this video, check out my other ones. But thanks for watching, guys. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want. Thanks, guys. See you next time.